Hi guys, it's Steph here. This is the Novelty Corner and welcome back to my channel. Now today was supposed to be a vlog and the truth is when I went back to look at the footage it was actually quite depressing because it was the last week of school. I was extremely exhausted and tired. I hadn't had any sleep-ins and now partway through the week after I'm feeling much better and I realized that a lot of what I want to share on my channel, I want it to be real but I also want it to be fairly positive. So instead of including that vlog footage, which look, some of it would have been salvageable but it wouldn't have made sense overall, I've decided to leave that and today share my 2022 anticipated releases with you. So I'm really excited about these. I was going to share them in January but I'm just moving it forward a little bit, so hopefully you enjoy this. I have a lot of anticipated releases. I don't have huge summaries for any of these books. I'm literally going to go by month, and then I have a collection of titles that currently don't have dates or didn't have dates that I could find. So we're just going to go through them. So in January, the first one, which I think comes out on the 4th, is Where the Drowned Girls Go by Huang and McGuire. This is part of the Wayward Children series and I have been reading this series since it started. The last book was not my favorite. I'm going to give this one a shot and see if it rekindles my love for the series. Otherwise, this might be the last one that I do read from the series because I was following particular characters and I don't think we're going to see them as often anymore, so we shall see. On the 6th of January we have Invisible Quarantine Alien by Robin Lovett. This is the 4th book in her Alien Quarantine Lover series and it is just so fun. It is sci-fi romance, heavy content warnings in here for a planet dealing with a pandemic, that planet being Earth. So if that's not your thing, definitely don't read it, but these are super short, super fun, and super steamy, and I'm looking forward to the next one because it features a heroine who we have heard a lot about but we haven't actually met yet. On the 18th, we have Electric Idol by Katee. This is the next book after Neon Gods. I'm really looking forward to it. This one I've already got on pre-order. On the 25th, we have Something Fabulous by Alexis. I know this is going to be one of the books for the Bonkers Romance Book Club, so I'm really looking forward to reading this. Alexis is easily a favourite author of mine, so I can't wait. On the 27th, Twisted Hate by Huang is due out. This is the next book in the Twisted Love series, and I can't even remember who this book is going to be about. I can't remember if it's even been set up, but I will read it regardless because I have really enjoyed the first 2 books. And then on the 31st of January, we're supposed to be getting Deceived by the Gargoyles by Lillian and Lark. I still need to read Pair of Fools, but I'm going to do that before the end of the year. And I'm just loving everything that Lillian and Lark has written. She is an author I found this year and just fell in love with. Moving into February, there are 3 books that I'm eagerly anticipating. There is Sink or Swim by Annabeth. I actually already have an e-arc of this from NetGalley, so I need to read it very soon. She writes romance. I've been reading her for years and I really like the range of characters and the depth of the relationships that she writes, so I'm eager to start this one. Then there is The Good Girl's Guide to Rakes by Leigh. This is an author who I found this year. I don't read that many historicals, but Leigh's ones were fantastic and the ones that I actually have the fondest memories of reading this year, so I would really like to try her next book. And then also on the 22nd, the physical book of Fated Blades by Ilona Andrews releases, and I've already read the ebook of it and I am going to be ordering myself a physical copy of this book because I absolutely loved it. It is a sci-fi romance. It is set on another planet. It is about 2 warring families and the hero and the heroine have to work together because someone is attacking their family's interests. So this is a true enemies to lovers story and it was fantastic. In March, there are 6 books that I'm looking forward to. There is Hook, Line and Sinker by Tessa. I think this comes out on the 1st of March. This is the follow-up to It Happened One Summer and it follows the sister of the heroine from the first book. On the 11th, we have King's Capture by Vivian Wood. Now, I have only read one novella by Vivian Wood, I think, but this one is a Hades and Persephone retelling. I think it might be contemporary, so I'm eager to see what this one is like. On the 24th, we have Darn Knit It All by Evie Mitchell, which is the next book in her All Access series. I'm really enjoying the series, so I can't wait to see how this one goes. On the 29th, there is Beauty and the Baller by Ilsa Madden Mills. Now, I haven't read Ilsa Madden Mills, but I love the cover of this book and I keep seeing it everywhere, so I think I'm going to give it a shot in 2022. Also on the 29th, you have The Dragon's Bride by Katee. Now, this one is getting a huge amount of hype because it has the most gorgeous cover, but it is a monster romance. This is sort of a spin-off of her Vampire Paranormal series, and you get a tiny little bit of a setup for it in the last book of that series, but you don't have to have read it to read this one. And Katee's been talking and spruiking this book for ages, so I cannot wait. And then finally in March, there's also supposed to be a Monsters in Love anthology coming out. I forget who the authors were, I forgot to write them down, and it doesn't have a date yet. I don't think. But I will probably continue to read my monster romances in 2022 because they're fun and they make for a great in-between reads as well. In April, I'm looking forward to The Wedding Crasher by Mia Sosa. I absolutely loved The Worst Best Man. It was one of my favourite books last year, and I'm very, very eager for Mia Sosa's next book. On the 19th, I'm also looking forward to Fevered Star by Rebecca Roanhorse, providing that by that stage I have read Black Sun, which has been sitting on my TBR cart for an entire year, which is disgraceful. But that is one of my goals in January, is to read Black Sun and then to hopefully continue the series, because even though I don't read huge amounts of fantasy anymore, Rebecca Roanhorse is one author that I would like to continue to read her catalogue because I do enjoy her stories. It's funny how some authors will make you want to read genres that are not your main genres anymore. And then there's also The No-Show by Beth O'Leary on the 28th. This is probably going to be more women's fiction-y, but I do really like Beth O'Leary's writing. So I'm hoping that this sort of emulates her first two books rather than the third one that I read. In May on the 3rd, we have Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I know that people have mixed feelings about Emily Henry because she also blends women's fiction and romance, but I have adored both of her books, so I'm more than willing to give this one another shot. I would also like to read Something Wilder by Christina Lauren. This is their next book, and I have really enjoyed the last few releases by them. The only one I haven't read, which I'm planning on reading today actually as I'm filming it, is The Soulmate Equation. So hopefully Something Wilder is also good. On the 24th, you also have A Lady for the Duke by Alexis Hall. As I said, I'm going to be reading as much Alexis Hall as I can. So this is their next release after Something Fabulous. And then on the 25th, we have The Company of Fiends by Catherine Moon. Now this is the follow-up to A Lady of Rooksgrave Manor, which was a paranormal reverse harem story that I read earlier in the year. Absolutely loved it, loved the gothic tone of it, so I am very interested to see what the second book does. In June, on the 6th, we have Always Practice Safe Hex by Juliet Cross, which is the next book in the Stay a Spell series, which is one of my all-time favourites, so I will definitely be picking that up. On the 7th, we have Wicked Beauty by Katee Robert, which is the third book in the Neon Gods series, and yeah, I'm just going to keep reading these books because I love any retellings with gods, although these ones are set in contemporary settings, so it does give it a really cool twist. Moving into July, on the 5th of July, we should be getting the second volume of Lore Olympus by Rachel Smythe. I know we can read it as a webcomic, but I actually really like reading the physical book, and I'm so excited to continue the story in paperback. On the 12th, we have A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. This is the second book in the Monk and Robot series, and I loved the first book. It was just very sweet. It has a very environmentally friendly message to it, and I would love to see where this story goes. On the 19th of July, we have Heatwaves, which is by TJ Klune and is the third book in the Extraordinary series, which again, I have books 1 and 2 sitting on my TBR cart, and they have been there for over a year. So I need to read them because then I can move into book 3. And then on the 26th, we should be getting Storm Echo, which should be the next book in the Psy Trinity series by Nalini Singh. I don't know who the characters are that we're going to be following. I don't know anything about the plot. I just know that it's coming out and I desperately want it. In August, on the 2nd, we get Husband Material by Alexis Hall. This is the follow-up to Boyfriend Material, and I absolutely adored that book when I read it last year. I am so eager to continue the story with the characters from that book and to find out what happens next, because that was very much a fake dating situation that turned into a real romance with two very oppositely minded characters, and I just want to see what happens next in their story because I loved them so much. On the 23rd of August, we should be getting, fingers crossed, Ruby Fever by Ilona Andrews, which is the third and final book in Catalina's trilogy for the Hidden Legacies series. In November, we have Villain I'd Like to F by Sierra Simone and that crew who write those anthology series. I'll leave it on the screen so you can see who the authors are, but I am very much looking forward to this anthology. Again, I still need to read the most recent one because I'm a terrible person. Also on the 22nd, we're getting Wrapped in Black More Winter Tales by Tiffany Rice, which is another collection of Original Sinners shorts, which I've been really enjoying this year because they are very short, very steamy erotic romance stories, and they are very bingeable. So I'll be keeping my eyes out for that one. In terms of anticipated reads that don't have release dates yet or that I could find, there is hopefully the second book in the Aurelia Rider series, although I have a sneaking suspicion that's going to be pushed back another year. I'd really like it to come out next year though. There should be the second book in the Iron Covenant series by Ilona Andrews, which is the second book in Hugh's story, so fingers crossed, I would really like that one. Guild Hunters 15 by Nalini Singh should be coming out next year as well if she's holding on to the same pattern, but it would come out later in the year, a bit like Archangel's Light did. TJ Klune has a book called In the Lives of Puppets being released as well next year. Talia Hibbert has 2 books. One I think is called Highly Suspicious, Unfairly Cute, and the other is the first untitled book in the Skybriar series. Again, I know nothing about them except the Talia Hibbert, and let's be honest, I fell down a Talia Hibbert rabbit hole as well this year. Rosie Dannett has another book coming out called Not Ready to Make Nice. I have really enjoyed both of her books, so I will definitely be picking this one up at some point. So I did have the release date for Juliet Cross's next book in the Stay a Spell series, but there are also a couple of other books in the Stay a Spell series. I don't know if they will get releases next year or if they'll be the following year. If they come out, I'll definitely be picking them up. Maz Maddox has the 4th and 5th books in the Relic series due to be released next year. So the first one was Smash and Grab, which I absolutely adored, but hopefully book 4 and 5 will be released next year and I can continue that series, which is queer dinosaur shifter romance stories. Harley LaRue should be releasing the 3rd book in the Souls trilogy, which should wrap up that arc because I think this is the last heroine that we're supposed to be following, so fingers crossed that comes out. I'm hoping there'll be another Murderbot Diaries book by Martha Wells. I did look up Murderbot Diaries 7 and apparently it was a short story that was released on tor.com, so I have since downloaded that and it's only 26 pages, which to me doesn't really count as book 7, but okay, maybe it is. So hopefully there'll be an 8th Murderbot Diaries book at some point. Martha Wells also has a fantasy book called Witch King coming out, and again, she's one of those authors that I would consider reading fantasy for. And then I'm pretty sure Katee Robert has a few other projects coming out as well as the books that she's already released. But her indie projects tend to move around depending on how she's going, so we shall see. All right, so those are my anticipated releases for 2022. I know it's a lot, but there's a lot of authors that I am keeping an eye on that I would really like to continue reading next year. So in the grand scheme of things, it's probably not that many because I'm pretty sure I could find some other ones. And of course, this doesn't take into account any indie authors as well whose release schedules are a little bit more flexible than traditional publishing. I'm pretty sure that Evie Mitchell will have more than just the All Access series coming out next year. I know for a fact that Jessica Gaziella will have plenty of books coming out in 2022 as well, and I will be reading through all of those. So yeah, it's just a matter of keeping an eye on my indie publishing authors, and I'll obviously talk about those when they're released. Okay, so that is it for me. In the comments below, I'd like you to let me know your most anticipated reads for 2022. What are you looking forward to reading? Clearly, I will have the never-ending TBR pile, which is fine. That's where I am happy to exist as a bookworm, with a never-ending pile of books that I would like to read. If you want to let me know that you're here but you don't want to leave a comment, feel free to leave a stack of books. Otherwise, I hope that wherever you're in the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, everyone.